I want to start with Brandon Aiyuk. And we're going to play a bunch of the sound for you. Kyle Shanahan, who, by the way,
a lot of stuff today.
His stuff game was turned all the way up.
So great.
Hey, would it be okay the next time we talk to Kyle? I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to do it tomorrow or not. I probably got to boogie out of there in Santa Clara before he talks. I don't know. But if I ever get sort of like an opportunity to talk to Kyle when it's not in a setting where people are waiting for real questions, I want to know if he hears himself and stuff. Like, do you know how often you say and stuff? I want to know, like, do you know that we count them when you get interviewed? I'd love to ask him that question.
I would love to ask him a question in an open forum as Kyle. Ask him a question with all the stuff.
What would your question be? What's your question?
I'm just wondering and stuff about what your plans are at wide receiver and stuff. If Aiyuk is not ready and stuff to come into camp and stuff, and I know Pearsall's on the NFI and stuff, and so is it going to be a chance and stuff for maybe Trent Taylor and to come in and stuff, and maybe be what's your wide receiver plan and stuff?
And that's a great question.
It's a good question, yeah. Let's see if I can get some stuffs here. Here's Kyle Shanahan on how Aiyuk potentially missing some camp time could impact his play in the regular season.
Anytime you don't get to practice like you're used to, the NFL season's real hard, so anytime you don't really get to prepare the right way in training camp, it's a challenge for all those players, and the tons of players have gone through it. Some have bigger challenges than others. Each one's different. I don't remember Debo missing much. I think we got him done the first couple days, from what I remember. Bosa, just, the way a D lineman is, I think is a little bit different, but then getting in football shape, no matter how hard you work out, it's tough. It's tough to catch up throughout the season. So both of those guys have their individual experiences with it. It never helps, but it's something that's not a new thing. It's something you got to deal with.
Okay, no stuffs in that one, but I heard a bunch today, so we'll have more from Kyle Shanahan. And then here's John Lynch, and this is a back and forth with our buddy Tim Kawakami with regard to the latest. Is Aiyuk reporting, and what is the state of negotiations?
Has Aiyuk reported? Do you expect him to report if he hasn't?
Well, they still have another hour and change, until, so I don't know if he is here, but we expect all our players to report and be here.
Any understanding with him that you will continue to negotiate? Is there any,
We've had great communication. We started this really early. We made it a priority to try to get done. We've had excellent communication throughout. Really don't want to characterize it. We haven't been able to, and that's a shame, but, Brandon's a big part of our team, and we expect that he will be this year.
Okay, and he has officially reported. There, to me, is only, if you take, and that was 37 seconds, if you take anything from it, just grab the last two words and move on with your day. We hope that you don't stay here and listen to Willard and Dibs. We'll be here till 6 o'clock, and Brandon's personal coach and our friend TJ Hushmanzada will be here in 45 minutes. But did you hear the last two words that John Lynch said when he talked?
The last two words.
The last two words when he talked about Brandon Aiyuk being a big part of this team. Did you catch the last two words?
Tell me what they were.
Let's hear it one more time. I want everyone to listen for the last two words.
Has Aiyuk reported? Do you expect him to report if he hasn't?
Well, they still have another hour and change, until, so I don't know if he is here, but we expect all our players to report and be here.
Any understanding with him that you will continue to negotiate? Is there any
We've had great communication. We started this really early. We made it a priority to try to get done. We've had excellent communication throughout. Really don't want to characterize it. We haven't been able to, and that's a shame. But Brandon's a big part of our team, and we expect that he will be this year.
We expect that he will be this year.
This year.
This year.
This year. There's your two words. It's all you need to know. It's the only thing anybody's thinking about right now, and it should be. And now, I don't know. I'm not calling the Niners disingenuous. Do they want to sign him to an extension? Maybe, probably. Have they offered him something? Maybe, probably. Am I 100% sure that they have? No, I'm really not. Because I also know that while they're being straightforward to the level that they can be, I don't take what's happening at press conferences to be gospel and a Bible. It's just not. And so the 49ers absolutely, unequivocally are using the leverage that they have, which is we are trying desperately to win the Super Bowl this year, and we've got a lot of things to figure out after that, and we will figure them out after that. And that might mean that Brandon is still a Niner, and it might not. And everybody's just going to have to, be like Steve Wilkes. Be built for this.
And I don't know if Brandon is built for it.
Might not be.
He's going to have to be. And if this is the situation where they're not going to extend him another offer or they're not going to come to terms and he's going to play out the fifth-year option, then he really has no option, which is why he reported today to camp, because if you're Brandon Aiyuk, you understand that the big bag does not happen now. If it doesn't happen now, it only happens at the end of one more really good, productive year, and maybe it doesn't happen as a Niner. And that's something that only you can control based on your effort and your productivity.
Yeah. This has gone very well for the San Francisco 49ers. Watch the breadcrumbs. Just look at the breadcrumbs and kind of see what they've been doing. And for me, again, we talked about it yesterday. The doc on Netflix, I found helpful. Conversations with others who have been through this before, like TJ, who we'll have another one with here coming up, have been helpful. But when you start to put the puzzle pieces together with the 49ers are listening to trade offers on their wide receivers, and then but they've told Debo's been promised that he won't be traded. And then the next thing was actually, no, Debo might be traded. And then you come out of the draft, and what do? First round pick. Let's do a wide receiver. Actually, let's get another one in the fourth round too, just to be sure. All right, so now we got a couple of new young wide receivers that we really like. And you come out of the draft, and you go, these fellas got this trade talk. Silliness. We never really were considering that at all. Then a line of teams come out and go, well, that's funny because we were in a conversation with you that got pretty far, but we offered you a second. You wanted a first. And Brandon's over here the whole time on social media going, this is really making me mad. And so he goes on a public tour trying to sort of curry favor in the whole thing, skips OTAs. But again, what has sort of been a theme between you and me on this show? Don't listen to the words. Watch the actions.
Yeah.
They drafted a wide receiver with their first round draft pick. Forget who called the Steelers and where Jaden Daniels is in TikTok. Forget it. That's all the noise. They drafted a wide receiver with their first round pick. That tells you that they are getting ready to move on from one of their current wide receivers. They don't want to do it this year, and they are going to be beyond hesitant with the idea of signing up for either one of them longer than they currently already are. And so they keep all their options. Everything's still on the table.
Yeah, and according to Ian Rappaport on his Twitter at RapSheet, the team has not held extensive contract talks since May. And because of that, Aiyuk has requested a trade. And that's a tweet that came about 3.5 hours ago. And so you think about that. And if they've not held extensive contract talks since May, that's now 2 months removed. And that's where you get Aiyuk getting mad. And that's where you get, they say they don't want me. And that's where you get him requesting a trade. And now here we are at camp, and there have been no contract talks. And it does kind of parallel the Klay Thompson journey, I think, about, the contract that was reportedly offered back in October. And Aiyuk was reportedly offered $26 million a year back in about May, I think, the Mike Silver report. And, whether or not that was true or not, since then, it's been all quiet on the Western Front. Same thing with Klay. And then Klay got to a point where he wanted to go elsewhere. And unfortunately for Brandon, he doesn't have that opportunity now, but he probably will in January or February or March.
888-957-9570. We'd love to take your calls today. What do you want the Niners to do? Like, as we sit here now today, gathering information, listening to what you're hearing them say, knowing that Brandon has actually reported, he's reported to camp on time. Like, how do you want to see this play out? What do you want him to do?
For me?
Yeah.
I want them to have him play the fifth-year option. And it's uncomfortable and it's unfortunate, but I think the alternative is you give him whatever the amount of money is, 26, 28, doesn't even matter. But then you get to the end of the year and either he or Debo is going to have to go. Without a doubt, that's going to have to happen. So for me, I want them to have him play on his contract, fifth-year option, $14 million, as you mentioned, more than he's made his first 4 years combined. You play for 14, you go out and have a year like you did last year. Now you're going to get a free agent contract, and maybe it's not with the Niners. Maybe you get to go be a Commanders. And then the Niners get a third-round comp pick as a result in the 2026 draft, and that's the way you go about it.
Or you tag him.
I don't want them to tag him.
Why not?
Because
they could have him for another year.
That's a losing proposition for me.
Why?
Because then you're paying him $27 million, $26 for 1 year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so then you're paying Debo $28 and you're paying Brandon $27 under the tag. Or
1 year.
Right. To me, that's not necessary. You drafted Ricky Pearsall. And unless you really blew that draft pick.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
We don't yet.
What if he's no good?
I would rather have him play under the 14.1, and at the end of the year, whatever happens, and let him move on. Let him go somewhere where he can get 185 targets, because I think that is more what he wants to do. I think that's the player that he could become. I can't put myself in his mind, but this offense, it makes no sense to pay two wide receivers that kind of money.
Yeah, I don't know that Brandon, I know we talk about that. Brandon would like to go where he gets more targets. I mean, sure, anybody wants more targets, but I think this is just about money. I don't think it's about anything else. I think Brandon would be just thrilled with his not as many targets as you get if you play for Jacksonville. I think he'd be just thrilled as long as he gets his money. And
TJ Hushmanzada, who joins us at the top of the hour, he said he just wants to win. And
he wants his money.
He wants his bag, of course. I mean, but he wants to win.
Well, I mean, that's why I do wonder what was actually offered to Brandon. I really do. I do wonder. Because while ego is strong and the need for respect is very high, all of that is intoxicating and it's at a huge level in pro sports, and I get it. As a wide receiver, if you're truly being offered 5 years at $26 million to play with Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy and Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey, if you're really being offered that and you're like, nah, I'm going to play 20 more games, put my body on the line for 20 more games in the hopes of getting 28 and a half and playing with the Broncos. I mean, you're
just
playing.
Depends what that guaranteed number is, too, right?
But you're playing a hell of a game of chicken, man.
For sure.
You're playing a hell of a game of chicken.
Or if you're Aiyuk and you play this year for 14.1 guaranteed, and then they tag you for 26, that's also guaranteed.
Yep.
That's $40 million guaranteed for the next 2 years if they want to go that route.
Right.
As opposed to maybe he had a 4-year deal on the table, 4 years and 104, but only 30 of it was guaranteed.